there's the United States, Virginia, then under Virginia,
County.
which is
Albemarle.
Albemarle, and under Albemarle County,
Charlottesville.
Charlottesville. In the United States, at that first level, how many divisions are there?
Number of states.
The United States? How
Yes.
many?
Number of states.
What you should know this, otherwise you're going to get your passport taken away.
How many states? How many
Yeah,
counties?
at the first level under the United States, how many divisions are there? They didn't ask you that?
How many states do you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
50.
50. So at the first level, there are 50, divided up into 50 divisions.
Yes.
At the level under that, how many divisions are there? I don't know, but probably very few people would know a fact like that, unless they're going on a game show or something. There are too many for anybody to keep track of. People only know what's relevant to them. The point in all of this is that when we talk about the different branches of Quraysh, all of those names that we have like this, that we go through, they're all at that first level, like at the level of Virginia, except for Abd Manaf. When we talk about Abd Manaf, we talk about the second level. So Abd Manaf has 4 levels under it. And those 4 are
Shams,
Abd Shams,
Talib,
Al-Muttalib,
Nawfal.
Hashim,
Nawfal.
and Nawfal. So we have gone through in the past, and we will go through, and I have to pause because half of the class.
Hello?
You can't come to the masjid, so we'll have to pick him up.
So Quraysh, when we talk about Quraysh, most of the time we're talking about that first level. The only time we get into another level under that is with Abd Manaf. So those first 4 names that we go through, they're part of Abd Manaf. That's why we go through Hashim, Al-Muttalib, Abd Shams, Nawfal, and then Abd al-Dar. Those 4 are part of one. And just like here, there's the United States, and there's New York State, and then New York City, and then New York City has 5 boroughs, and then if you live there, you probably know. Yeah, there's East Side and the West Side and some of those places. Even later on in history, there are levels under this level. Like for Abd Shams, under Abd Shams there was, no, Makhzum is back at the, there's Banu Umayyah, it's under Abd Shams. That really wasn't a thing at the time we're talking about. And under Hashim there was Banu Abbas, which is not a thing at the time we're talking about, because the time we're talking about, Abbas himself is still there. But later on it became different things. And all of these things are from different perspectives, because even if you say Quraysh is the top level, if you want to look at something from a different angle, even above Quraysh there's Kinana, and then above Kinana, there's, we don't need to go into that. It's confusing. Quraysh is relatively simple compared to other things, which is why it's good for us to remember like these divisions of Quraysh now, because when we go, inshallah, if we make it to Medina, in Medina there is the Aus and the Khazraj and the Jewish communities, which even, so at the top level, it's not just one, it's three. And just looking at this, the two Arab communities in Medina, who are they again? The Aus and the Khazraj. If you take it one level under the Aus and the Khazraj, it's basically 8. But the thing is, with Aus and the Khazraj, usually they go one level under that, so it's like 20-something, which is a lot more. Inshallah, we're not going to go into as much. We can't. But Quraysh is simple compared to the Aus and the Khazraj. Bismillah. It's empty. When they talk about Quraysh, when they talk about the Aus and the Khazraj, usually they talk about that third level. Usually with Quraysh, especially in the period of time we're in now, they usually talk about that second level, except for Ad Manaf. And they talk about, depending on the context. Where did Hashim die?
When?
Where?
Where?
They say he died in Gaza, which is in Palestine. Hashim, his son, the one who is the most well known, was Abdul Muttalib. Does anyone know anything about Abdul Muttalib?
Yeah, he was the one who went to that army.
Yes, that's what.
Army of elephant.
Army of who, sister?
Abraham.
Abraham. He was the one who spoke on behalf of. He was the one who spoke on behalf of Quraysh to Abraham. Which again, he's not like Qusay, but in his time he was the one that was chosen to represent, speak on, negotiate on behalf of Quraysh and anyone who was in Mecca. Also something about Al-Muttalib.
He found the well of...
Yes, exactly. He's the one who redug the well of Zamzam. Why is that significant?
Because it was covered.
I mean, it's obviously for a historical, it's a spiritual reason. It's significant because that's the well that.
But it was important for the.
Yes, but way back, is the origin of the well is from Hajar and Ismail, and according to the hadith, the angel Jibril is the one who struck the place of the well. But it was also a big deal for another, like, very practical reason too.
Because it was a source of water in the desert, and
yes,
for the people who are coming to
Be-
Makkah?
because Mecca is
Desert.
a gathering point for people from all over. And it's necessary that they have
Source of
water. And water doesn't just automatically take something like that and turn it around and it comes out, unless that's been prepared. Sometimes we take it for granted if we have been given plenty, but it's a big deal. Why is it a big deal?
it brings people to the, like it brings business to the,
I mean, but at a more simple level, if you don't have water,
yeah, it's a source of life.
you're going to die.
Yeah,
People will die, people themselves. And also, what else needs water?
Animals?
Their
cattle,
their transportation.
cattle.
If it's not well watered, they can't go back. And that's a big concern for anyone who's going anywhere. That was one of the offices in Mecca was what they call it, Siqaya, as-Siqaya. And that was it. It was work that had to be done before the well of Zamzam. Water had to be drawn from wells, which it's not just like there's a river and you go and drink from the river as much as you want. The work has to be done. They have to get camels to pull the water out of the well, and they have to fill a trowel or something. They have to put the water in some kind of container, a howd or something like that, a trowel or a cistern for the animals to drink from it and the people to take from it. And so there were buildings and structures that contained the water, and there was work that had to be done to get
Water.
to fill them with water. That was much more difficult. That was much more difficult before the well of Zamzam was uncovered, because there are wells throughout the area of Mecca, but you had to go to the well and then carry the water back. Still, when the well of Zamzam was there, that was work that had to be done, and it had to be filled for the visitors. Abdul Muttalib was the one who is credited with uncovering the well of Zamzam, and they say that office of Siqaya, or providing the water, he held that in his lifetime, and after Abdul Muttalib, it was carried on by Al-Abbas. And in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, there's a hadith that when the Prophet ﷺ came to make Hajj, Al-Abbas asked him permission not to stay in Mina during the last days of Hajj, because he had to do the Siqaya, and the Prophet ﷺ allowed him to do that, because it's something that has to be attended to. You can't just turn on the faucet and say everybody drink. It has to involves work, and he couldn't do that. He couldn't stay in Mina and keep the water troughs full in Mecca. They also say that Abdul Muttalib is not his real name. That's a nickname. They say that this is a nickname, this is a nickname, this is a nickname, and this is a nickname. Does anyone know what his real name is?
Shaiba.
Yes, sister.
Sheba?
Shaiba.
He had a wife there.
Why? Where there are this is Allah. These are oral traditions, but because I think there are a number of different things that are said about this. what do they say that is the reason for this nickname?
He had a white hair.
No,
No,
because
there is a
Sheba
Quran.
would be the
Shaiba, yeah, it was
Real
his
name.
Oh, Abdul Muttalib.
Abdul. What's the name? What's the cause for the? What's the?
He brought a,
Ah.
Oh.
No, it was his.
I think Abdullah.
His wife had a baby somewhere else, and they thought he's his servant or something.
But then when he brought him from
Yes.
outside, they
So
thought
called
he's
him
a,
Abdul.
Yes.
or something.
You can tell the right story, but.
خليها.
Huh?
خليها.
Sorry?
Huh?
خليه. هذا ماما. هذا ماما. هذا attention. هذا تجيك attention.
خليها من غير تجري. Hashim was married to someone.
Hashim?
Yes. Who was he married to? He was married to a woman named Salma bint Amr from
Zora.
the Khazraj in
Okay, from Medina.
Medina.
Yeah, because
From Banu al-Najjar in Medina.
it's empty.
Who?
خلاص صارت تعال تعال تعال.
خلاص. Salma bint Amr.
تعال
that she came from a very prestigious family in Medina, and they say that she married Hashim on the condition that whenever if she gives birth, she has to give birth in her with her people.
Hometown.
So they say because of that,
He used to visit
Abdul Muttalib was born in
Yathrib. Yathrib.
in Yathrib, what we call it Medina. And he was there he was born when he was an infant. His father died in Palestine. His father who was?
Hashim.
Hashim. They say that like a number of years later, one of his
Sarah.
one of his uncles went to claim him, and that uncle was Al-Muttalib. So according to the tradition, he was coming back.
With him.
He was going on it was a business trip anyway. He brought his nephew back, and they say that when they saw this child in the company of Al-Muttalib, they assumed that that child was a servant that he had purchased. So they say that's where the name Abdul Muttalib came from. How many children did Abdul Muttalib have?
4.
No, he had like dozens. He had like a lot. Like we have one here, Abdullah, and there was also the one that
Abbas.
Al-Abbas,
Abbas.
and he had daughters too. Al-Abbas,
Hamza.
Hamza,
And
Abu Talib,
Abu
Abu Lahab.
Abu Lahab,
Yeah.
You have Safiya.
and
Safiya.
Al-Harith and Safiya. There were a lot of children. And almost I think that almost all of Hashim is from Abdul Muttalib. The other sons of Hashim, I think their lineage went extinct. But Hashim is still a thing now, right? Because there are some kingdoms that still trace themselves back to Hashim, like Jordan. And what's the official name of the country of Jordan? Yeah, the full name.
الأردنية الهاشمية المملكة الأردنية
Yeah.
الهاشمية.
The Hashemite kingdom of Jordan, and in Morocco as well. And they still use that name, Hashim, and it goes back to this Hashim. What do you know about Abdullah?
He passed away when the Prophet ﷺ was still in his.
He married
Well, yes, he married who?
Amina.
Amina bint
Wahb.
Wahab. Actually, we hardly know anything about. What's that?
هي من بني النجار برضه صح؟
No,
مين من بني النجار؟
Salma bint Amr.
wife of
النبي
Hashim.
عليه الصلاة والسلام أخواله من.
Yeah, because of her.
Because of her. It goes back to that. Not immediate.
Yeah. We hardly know anything about him except that he is the father of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And I think there's a story about his marriage in this book.
His father, Abdullah. Really?
He was
His
at,
father was trying to slaughter him like Ismail.
no, that was, yeah, that was,
Yeah,
that's when he was
that's,
young. He was a, that story is about the lots. Huh? They used to put lots for,
oh, he was the
Abdullah, he
going to
saved-
be like he was the
slaughtered.
10th son.
yeah. He was
Yeah.
slaughtered.
Yeah, that's
The story.
it's probably true because it's such a bad thing. And that's shirk. It's most obvious. It's not a good story, but apparently happened.
There was some story about his marriage also, which I remember.
His marriage?
Listening, his marriage. Someone else was interested in him, and
I think you think of someone else. I
Someone
think
else?
that's the one of the daughters of Abu Talib, Hani. Look it up, and if you find it, tell
yeah,
me.
because I was listening to this book, Martin Ling's. I remember listening that story.
I remember that, but I think the story.
It's
thing,
not
I think,
him. It's not
yeah,
him.
but double check it
Okay.
and let me know. I will do it too. As far as I know, we don't know anything about him at all, except that he gave birth to the Prophet ﷺ, and immediately
He died.
his time on this world was over. It's like he was only put on this earth for that one purpose. SubhanAllah. How old? Does anyone know how old he was when he died? It's very young. They